Let's talk about death, baby, and the morality. Let's talk about all the racist laws with the death penalty. Let's talk about death.
Let's talk about death.
We don't know, guys. We just made that up on the spot. I didn't even know what she was going to say.
Oh, God, guys, we made that up because I don't know if you could guess by our fucking song that we just
Believe it or not, we didn't even rehearse that. Okay, here we are.
We apologize, but also you're welcome. Welcome back to the SOS pod. Today we are talking about the death penalty and the morality of that. So buckle up. We're going to not make it as heavy. We're going to try to not make it as heavy.
Yeah, we're going to make it super light. Just dying and killing people.
But I just feel like, you know, it's an interesting subject to dive into just because of, you know, obviously all the racism that is involved and how we personally think about it, because I thought about it myself and my views on it has evolved, but also not. It's weird, but and
there's no definitive, for me at least, there's no definitive. I depending on each situation, I think differently, so I can't even.
Yeah.
Neither of us are claiming to.
But anyway, before we get started, follow us at the SOS Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
Yes, but the big thing is we are trying to grow our Patreon so that we can monetize this for our lives, so we can do things we love and make money from it. And it's barely any. We have a $3 a month thing, and $7 a month, or $11 a month. So if you're already on your ex's Netflix plan, just throw us that money per month. You know,
nothing.
It's easy.
Or just like you're getting a cup of coffee one day and you get a little subscription to something else the other day, and that's something else is our Patreon. So head to our Instagram at the SOS Pod if you want the link to our Patreon or our website sos-podcast.com. That's a hyphen, right? I always get hyphens and
it's a dash. I don't know.
sos-podcast.com, Patreon, SOS with Molly and Alyssa. Hit it. Anyway.
Hit it.
Let's talk about death, Molly.
Yeah, let's go. Okay.
Well, the SOS moment that we really wanted to talk about that kind of brought this to light that I saw in the news was the governor from South Carolina, Governor Henry McMaster, which is like...
Master?
That's like a fucked up name to have in South Carolina.
Indeed.
It's like, what's your family doing?
This is random also, but I don't know. I learned this recently, and I don't know if people know this, but even the term master bedroom is derived from slavery times.
Stop!
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either, but here we are, and we should all know this.
But what's junior bed? How does the junior fit into that?
I've never heard that.
Yeah, there's like junior bedroom.
Oh, they probably added that on because when you have master.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but I just thought that was a little. It just everything is tied to it at the end of the day.
You learn something new every day, folks.
You learn.
We're singing that tonight too. Okay, so this governor from South Carolina signed a bill to basically bring back a firing squad as a form of is death penalty. And it's so fucking interesting because I was like, sorry, what year is it? I was literally Robin Williams in Jumanji saying, what year is it? When I saw this, and I had no idea. Hello, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Utah already had that.
Utah?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised, but also like you're in there with Mississippi, you need to question yourself.
It's already, it's practice, and it hasn't happened in I think 2011 was the last time.
God, that's when I moved to LA. That's not that long ago.
That's the last time it was used as a form of a death penalty.
Is it? How do they choose?
Execution. So what they say is that it's more ethical because there's less pain involved. So
I'm sorry.
I know. So this is the thing too. So you like all the executions that I really know about in modern times has to do with the injection.
Yeah.
So what that cocktail that they use for these death row, these inmates, these people, they first pump you with a lot of anesthesia and then the drugs that end up just stopping your heart. But the drugs, the anesthetics that they use, like the pharmaceutical companies that produce those anesthetics, are like, I don't want to be associated with that. So these states that use the death penalty and use lethal injection because a lot of pharmaceutical companies are wiping their hands, claiming that like they don't want to sell their drugs for the fucking execution, they go to other companies that are like cheap as fuck and their anesthesia. So there's been many times where the person that they're trying to kill won't fall asleep and they're literally in agony for hours.
Oh my God.
Because they're using cheap anesthetics. Is that the right word?
Anesthesia?
Yes.
I don't know.
Like aesthetics.
Cheap aesthetics.
Yes. So
not a fan.
So it's really, really fucked up. So that's why they're like, we'll bring back the firing squad. But I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, imagine.
No.
Like, being also like, I mean, cops. I'm sure they don't have a problem shooting somebody. Let's be real.
Not at all.
But I can't can't imagine what it's like to be on death row anyway. But that just seems the most barbaric shit I've ever heard.
It is, and the most disturbing thing to me is the amount of people that have been proven innocent after they've been put to death.
Exactly.
Is god awful and astronomical, to be honest. The amount of people who have been murdered, I don't have the number here, but the number of people who have been put to death via death penalty and proven innocent afterwards, one is enough. One person to be wrongfully put to death for something they didn't do is an atrocity, let alone the amount of people that have been proven innocent afterwards, is only a fraction of the people who have been put to death who are innocent.
Yeah.
Only a fraction of those are even discovered innocent. And to me, that is what's unforgivable. Are there people who I don't want to see walk the earth anymore? Yes. Do I think that other people have the right to kill them? Debatable. I can say I don't think this person has a right to live anymore and still not think that I'm not going to kill them, so it's such a gray area. But for me, the aside from whether people deserve to die or not, for me, the reason that the death penalty, the strongest case for it to not exist is the sheer amount of people who get murdered who are innocent.
Yeah.
And I also think life in prison is a worse sentence than being put to death. You get to be set free of it, or you live your entire life in prison, whether you face it or not at the end of the day. And another thing that I think is that, say you get life in prison, the chances for you to reach like a spiritual redemption are not, some people never will. And some people, it could take 40 years, but you got life in prison. So the chance for you to reach that is higher. And if you don't, you don't. And then you die in prison. And to me, that's worse than being relieved of it early.
This is a really interesting thing that I've always thought about, and then will be checked by people, rightfully so, because, well, shout out to my dad. I grew up
Ernie.
I grew up with my dad. He was in the military, but he's also just like
he also gives the best wedding speeches.
he's amazing, but he's also like an intense red-blooded Sicilian, okay? Who's in the military and like from Brooklyn. So
now I want pizza.
I remember this. Let's get it. I always remembered, and the story will make sense to the context. My dad always talking about in detail, like after 9/11, for example. I was 10 years old. I remember hearing my dad, after it happened, like in detail describe how he would torture Osama bin Laden. And like in detail, like it was gruesome. I was 10 years old listening. He's like, what do I fucking do? This is what I would fucking do. I would have every single family member that he killed, a family member of the deceased, come in and take a whack on him with a baseball.
Yeah.
And then do this. And I would just be like 10 years old and be like, yeah. Yeah, and then what, Dad? I was like fucking into it. So there was a long time where, I still do. I have this anger. Whenever I think about a loved one being murdered.
Oh my God.
I have like this.
Listen.
Yeah.
Kill my loved one, I will murder.
So right. So then I'm like, because I've been asked, like, do you believe in death penalty? I'm like, well, I want to say no, because I'm this progressive leftist, right? And like, no, like, what the fuck? But I'm also like, I can't fucking imagine. And I've seen have you ever seen on YouTube courtroom proceedings where the family member of the victim will like lunge and attack the murderer in court, because like the murderer will. Let me tell you, like, not all the time. It's usually when the murderer of their fucking child, it's like usually the parents.
Yeah.
The murderer of the child will be like laughing.
Yeah.
Or it's doing something fucking assholey and evil. And it's like, and the parents just.
Or just showing no emotion whatsoever.
Right. And it's just like, I get it. And it's like, fuck, let the parent do it. Let the parent go out, fuck them. Why should they have any protection?
Let the parent, the loved ones of who was murdered, they can do it. For all, I'm not going to stop someone. If you kill someone's daughter, I'm not going to stop that girl's dad from killing someone. I'm not.
I know.
And so, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like, I for the longest time, I was like, maybe it should be up to the family. You know what I mean? Like the families should decide. But then it gets...
I know.
Think about it. Think about that position, right?
I
Someone,
know.
I mean, like, don't have to put yourself in that personal position, but imagine someone killing a family member, and then that was our law of the land, right? They were just like, it's up to the family, so you guys have to decide. And you're already going through an insane amount of turmoil and
that could tear up a family even more. They're already grieving together, and then some of them are feeling the fire of like, let's put them to death, and then some of them don't agree with that, and then you're already grieving, and then you're at odds with each. It could tear a family apart even more.
Exactly. And
yet I agree. I think no one has more authority over that decision than that family, and yet it could tear them apart.
Yeah, and if there were still court proceedings with this law, what if you have to like look at the family members of the murderer that is crying because they have a shit evil, but they still love that person? I always think about. Did you ever watch the Chris Watts case?
I don't think so.
Chris Watts, this is like a couple years in Colorado, a couple years ago, he killed his wife who was pregnant and his 2 toddlers.
Wait, he drove them out to...
he killed them in the house in the middle of the night, and then he took the kids to he worked in an oil
Yes, rig. I saw that. But they were live in the car. The 2 toddlers
Yes, he killed them in the car.
Yes. Yeah. I did see that. Oh my God, I saw that.
Isn't that fucking...
That was so disturbing.
It was insane. But like, I was like kind of obsessed. I watched documentaries on this.
He was cheating on his wife.
Yes.
And didn't want to tell her. So he murders the kids and her.
Complete sociopath.
Because he killed the mom and then drove out to where he worked, the oil place, with his 2 daughters alive.
Yes.
And they were like, what's wrong with mommy?
Complete sociopath. And I was obsessed with this. So I was watching the court proceedings during the trial, and his parents were just they were just sobbing. They were just like, please, I know what he did. Let him just live in jail. Please don't kill my baby. And it's just like, I don't want to be like, well, fuck you, you raised a shit son, but like.
But you did.
Well, you did.
But also like.
That, I can't imagine. Like, imagine, I don't even know.
It comes down to me. Because I agree. That's the thing. I agree with all of these things. And that is why I don't feel like, if it were up to me, yeah, some people would be killed and some people wouldn't. However, the death penalty as a law, I don't have faith in our justice system.
Exactly.
And I don't have faith in how the law is enforced. And a Black or brown person who is put to death, their white counterpart often is not. And these are the issues that make me say no, because who are we to play God?
Exactly.
And not only that, we're a fucking racist country.
Yes.
And no matter how you slice it, we are a racist country. So let alone the amount of innocent people who are being put to death, the amount of guilty people who are white who don't get sentenced to death is a whole other thing, even compared to the Black and brown people who are guilty, who get sentenced to death.
Exactly.
It is incomparable to the amount of white people. And that's a massive issue too.
And that's exactly why that's why I'm like evolved, because it's just like, in a perfect fucking world, which why would a perfect world have murders of children all the time? But
right.
Like if racism wasn't a fucking factor in the history of our nation, then maybe I would be okay with some sort of situation, because I don't know.
Right. That's the thing.
It's playing God. It's like,
playing God.
I just feel such a rage. And I know for a fact, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this.
I'm just saying, are watching.
I'm just saying, I know for a fact, I've talked about this with Ryan, if I went missing or if I was murdered, there'd be people in my family that would go to jail for.
I would go to jail, Alyssa.
No, I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get it. And
I know.
And, you know what I mean? And it's just like, and they'd be happy to go to be like, I don't care, you know? And and it's like, how can you tell? Like, and this is the thing, like, because the Chauvin trial just happened, and like prosecution, I think, just wants 30 years. I think he's getting like a certain amount of years in jail. I forget how much.
A fraction of.
But like, I'm sorry, like, and Jeffrey Epstein, that's another one.
Yes.
I'm sorry, like, it's not even just murderers, like
then
sexual predators also deserve the death penalty.
Another thing that I think is incredibly fucked up is that white collar crimes do not get sentenced to the death penalty the way that violent crimes do. And white collar crimes,
black and brown people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
White collar crimes are all rich white dudes who are fucking over society, like literally. And then the reason
with presidents and
and
princes,
the people who are controlling the capitalism, like the people who are controlling this and keeping the racist systems in place and keeping it's those people are it's a white collar crimes that A, they're paying their way out, B, or they're not getting sentenced to the death penalty the way that violent crimes are. And I understand violent crimes are not okay. However, most of the people who are put in the position of having, and I say having to commit because, yeah, you don't always have to, but there are some people, their life is set up so that if they're going to protect their family, yeah, that's how life is.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to have to hurt someone. If you are in the business of selling drugs, for example, it's dangerous. Yeah, people don't understand that it's not the dream of a coke dealer to deal coke. That is how they are trying to support themselves and their family because of their circumstances.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, most violent crimes, I don't even know if most, I can't say that because obviously a lot of white people do violent crimes. People in prison for violent crimes are the black and brown people.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the violent crimes. Those are the ones who are being sentenced to death more often. And the morality of they're doing it for survival. Not all. I'm aware. A lot of them are doing it for survival, and it's circumstantial based on where they live, which is based on redlining, which is based on racism.
And fuck you for arguing with that fact too, because a lot of people will be like, well, they have choices. It's like, no, a lot of people don't know if they have choices.
Yeah, and you look at how our society, how every structure is set up, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at these white collar crimes that are being committed by these trust fund babies that grew up and then they have trust fund babies and they're just siphoning money off and they're fucking all of us over. We think we're separate from it, but no, that's how they stay on top. And so I just don't think any other human as a law, I don't think the law should be in charge of the death penalty. And this is what you're saying, which is really weird. If your loved one is murdered, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to stop you.
What if it was up to, I'm trying to feel like, what would be the perfect way to deal with this? But like, I guess it's just abolishing it altogether, which I completely understand.
It's abolishing it altogether. And then if someone gets caught for murdering their daughter's murderer, no, like abolishing the death penalty. And then say I'm gone and my dad goes out and murders my murderer.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. And if he gets caught for it,
there should be like a purge. But the purge is only available. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you know how like the purge is just like all crime? No, the purge exists if your family member is murdered. Like George Floyd's family.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like for 24 hours, Derek Chauvin is subjected to the purge.
Honestly. See,
that's fucking fair, right?
It's fair. And then look at like
humans. I don't know. Am I fucked up?
Well, it's all fucked up. If that shit's going to be happening, if Derek Chauvin, that's fucked up. So what?
I know.
And I'm not an eye for an eye type of person, but also I am.
I know.
Everybody lives in contradiction. And it's like, there's this quote that my brother shared with me because it reminded him of me. And it was like a William Blake. Oh my God, what is it? I'll share it on our page if I can't think of it, but it's something about being, every human is a walking contradiction. And that is just who we are. And we cannot try to justify, you can't try to solve it. We just are. We're
air signs too, so we're just always flowing.
I'm an alien.
Yes.
Yes.
It's so true. And it's also just like, because, we're all contradictory, and I know that about myself when it comes to this particular topic and the moralities of it and why it's like, I am not for an eye, but I am, because if it was my family, like I don't. And this is specific. If it was an accident, like I can get to a place of forgiveness. I know I would hope so. Like if it was an accident or something, but if it was an intentional, brutal fucking murder, I don't understand self-control as I'm like imagining it right now. So it's like, Where do I stand?
And then when you think of like human nature, when you really get down to it, now we're in this society, we've structured it, we've set up societal laws, but humans are tribal creatures. We live in packs. Like our actual nature, we are animals. We are tribal. And at the end of the day, there are certain things that are instinctual that are as natural as a lion going out and killing someone who's too close to their cub. And so at the end of the day, what I think is, this doesn't give an answer to it, but what I think God is and the spirit is natural, is our natural state.
Yeah.
I don't think that doesn't place good or bad on anything.
Yeah.
That's just like, look, we are animals. And if you love someone and we don't think a lion is morally corrupt because they killed someone that was too close to their cub. We say that's how they are. That's their nature. They're protecting their cub.
Also, like, really fucked up too, because when it comes to just like not even death penalty shit with like the protection of your land, like a lot of white people love their guns and protecting their land and be like, I will shoot you and I will get away with it, because they most likely will.
They will.
But a black or brown person with a gun, like a 13-year-old child that died in Chicago a couple months ago, they're dead immediately for whatever. You know, it's just like,
yeah,
it doesn't. It's all backwards, and white people will reign supreme. But like, we're all, and I had to like stop like kind of judging myself with this, because like you said, we are all contradictory. And then I remember, like, you know, when Jeffrey Epstein died, no one was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I think most people were just like, is it a murder or is it a suicide?
Right,
you know, they're like more interested in that. And then also Harvey Weinstein, like,
oh my God.
I think about, because he's in jail right now, but I remember like when he got COVID, everyone was like, die,
right.
fucking just die.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone has that sick
but that to me is also proof why we should not be playing God, because everybody feels differently. Yeah. We all should do what we feel. And that's why I feel like the law shouldn't dictate. And this is, I can't say this and then think this is the best way to go about it. I really don't know, because it's also, it can't be a free for all, because people just be fucking murdering. But I'm like, there's no, because we all have different views is reason enough to understand that the law cannot represent what we all believe, because every single person, my views are different from case to case.
Yes. It's all about context.
Yeah.
And
I was going to recommend, that's what I was looking at, this book that I'm in the middle of right now. It's called City of Inmates, and Conquest, Rebellion, and the Rise of Human Caging in Los Angeles from 1771 to 1965.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, so this is on Amazon. I mean, it's anywhere, but I hate promoting Amazon, but also that shit's easy, so here we are.
I'm not a perfect person.
Yeah, go to Amazon.com. Jeff Bezos, what's up?
What's up?
But no, City of Inmates, and it is focusing on Los Angeles, but we are the highest percentage of imprisoned people on the planet. The U.S. is the most in the country, and Los Angeles is the most in the U.S. And so when we talk about, it goes all the way back to like it starts in 1771. And so you see this. And if you read this book and you look at how it has evolved and how the indigenous populations were abolished, and then how certain laws are put into place. And then when there's a law that's supposed to be, quote unquote, to prevent unfair imprisonment, there's always a loophole where, but you're loitering. And who's loitering? It's the black and brown people or the poor people who don't have it. It goes all the way through it. I'm not finished with it yet, but I tell you, when we talk about the death penalty, you have to take a step back and look at, okay, who's subject to the death penalty? People who are imprisoned. Okay, who's imprisoned? These people. And why are they imprisoned? For these reasons. And the history of policing is tied to slave catchers. That's where it started in our country. That is where it began. And yes, it has evolved, but
no.
Right. Correct. Correct. So people can look at it now and be like, oh, like I have family members who are cops. I am not, I've had a best friend say to me, genuinely, not argumentatively, like, do you think all cops are bad? And that question, I was like, this is it to me. The fact that because she's exceptionally intelligent, she wasn't even argumentative. She believes what I believe. However, she really just really was asking. And I was like, okay, look, if I believed all cops were bad, I would be as ignorant as people who think all Black people are bad. So no.
And it's not that all cops are bad. Hello, it's ACAB. All cops are bastards. And that's, I believe that. And my dad was a cop. You know what I mean? It's like, it's true. And that's what it is. They're bastards because they're joining a system that is so fucking
the system
racist.
Turns you into what they need you to be.
Yeah. Not all cops are bad, but they're bastards.
And it's just, and even
We're gonna piss people off.
I know we really are. Well, I don't even think that though. I don't even think all cops are bastards. I think the system will morph you into what they want it to be, and essentially what that is racist.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're not going to tell you Black people are worse and shoot Black people. No, you are being conditioned into this, and this is a whole thing. But
and how do you feel about assisted suicide?
I think that should be allowed. I think you are of your own agency, your own life.
Yeah, me too. I feel like there's only a few. I feel like Colorado's one of them. That
I don't even know. Do they?
There's only a few states, and I just feel like if we're going to be a fucking country that is so, like, he just signed a law that allows the firing squad for people that, like, could be fucking innocent at the end of the day. And it's like, you're going to tell me people that are, like, you know, have terminal cancer and they don't want to fucking be, you know, live in pain anymore.
Right.
And when they want to die with fucking dignity.
Yeah.
And that they can't do that.
That's a whole other thing. That's like, for sure, we should be in charge of our own lives.
What if therapists were in charge of?
No, therapists are the most messed up people there are. That's why they're therapists. They went through it all. They figured it out, but they're still messed up.
I can't. All right. Well, let's shout out the Innocence Project. They were founded in 1992 by Peter Neufeld and Barry Scheck at Cardozo School of Law, and they exonerate the wrongly convicted through DNA testing, and they reform the criminal justice system to prevent future injustice. The Innocent Project's mission is to free the staggering number of innocent people who remain incarcerated and to bring reform to the system responsible for their unjust imprisonment. So to learn more and donate, please visit innocenceproject.org.
And blacklivesmatter.com.
Yes.
Always.
Shout out.
Anything helps.
Yes. Follow us, like we said, at the SOS Pod on Instagram. Join our Patreon. Shout out Steve Ginn and Nija Brooks.
Nija.
Y'all are the real ones for show. We love you. What else? Subscribe to us. Come on,
subscribe.
Guys.
Leave reviews. They really help. They help us be more discoverable on iTunes.
Yeah, they reach more people.
Apple Podcasts. And we love you guys. Please share clips of our conversation that means something to you. Help bring people to our page. We love you so much. Oh, I'm Molly Cottrell.
I'm Melissa Rizzo.
And here's the Turning Meltdown
into Magic.